So about Luffy's childhood, specifically the part involving Ace and Sabo. Luffy grew up with them for a majority of his childhood, ever since he was 7, and they were 3 years older than him, and they had a very big influence on how he grew up, and the habits that he grew into. Luffy followed Ace and Sabo around, and learned a lot from being around them. He started to train with them, and eventually by himself to better understand his Gum Gum fruit. If Luffy didn't grow up with them, I imagine things would be very different, not just for Luffy but Ace and Sabo as well. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. What would happen if Luffy ended up not growing up with Ace and Sabo? Before that though, like and subscribe for future content. Although they won't grow up together, I imagine all 3 of them will end up turning out the same way more or less. Sabo and Ace wanted to be pirates long before Luffy came in. Luffy just forced his way into the group since he also wanted to be a pirate. They were stashing money for a boat for a really long time from what it looked like. They were just waiting until they turned 17 to actually go out to sea. Well, Sabo ended up leaving early because of what happened with his family, but that was what they were all planning. And Luffy always wanted to be a pirate ever since he met Shanks and got his hat. So it isn't like any of them won't go and try to be pirates anymore. They just formed a group since all 3 of them were going for the same thing. So let's just assume that they all turn out the same way. It's possible that Sabo might turn out a little differently though, because he gave in to his family to save Ace and Luffy since they were threatening to kill both of them if he didn't come back to the family. So it might change very slightly, but Sabo will still end up hating his parents and his royal blood. So let's just say it goes down the same as it did now, in a different context, since the world nobles still had to go to the country, so they would still be planning to burn down the Great Terminal. They would all pretty much end up in the same positions they are already in, just that Luffy wouldn't know Ace and Sabo. If Luffy wouldn't know them, that would mean he won't be living with the mountain bandits anymore. He would probably still live with Garp and train under him, which actually might be a good thing for him, since he will probably turn out to grow even stronger quickly. Ace, Sabo, and Luffy trained together, but they were just doing matches against each other. If Luffy had the same amount of time he spent with Ace and Sabo with Garp instead, doing the extreme training Garp put him through, he might have even been able to learn Haki early. Luffy learned how to grasp all 3 types in like a year and a half. So he could definitely get pretty far in Haki if he trained under Garp. Maybe even further than in the training he did with Rayleigh, honestly. Garp would train Luffy expecting him to become a marine, but Luffy would more than likely still end up becoming a pirate. Or if you want to look at it another way, maybe it's not Luffy that doesn't live with the mountain bandits, but Ace instead. Another route you could take is that Garp doesn't end up raising Ace at all, or he decides to just put him into a hiding place somewhere else, since he knows how Ace is, and the fact that Ace wants to become a pirate, so he might think of him as a bad influence for Luffy. Since Garp wants Luffy to grow up to be a marine, an influence like Ace will mess that up pretty badly. I think Garp would still end up looking after Ace, since Garp was friends with Roger, or at least he respected him, so he wanted to keep Ace safe from the world government, but he might still keep Ace and Luffy separate from each other, for the sake of having Luffy be a marine. So Ace just lives somewhere else entirely away from the Goa Kingdom, which would actually make it so that Ace and Sabo don't know each other either. That's actually pretty interesting to think about. If none of them at all never met, that might also mean Sabo will never become a pirate either. Well, he wanted to be a pirate, but turned into a revolutionary down the line. I don't think we are ever informed on how Ace and Sabo met, like how they got to know each other, and how things went when it was just the 2 of them, because we only know what happened between them from the point Luffy joins the group. It might be that Ace was the one to convince Sabo to become a pirate, because Ace had a pretty solidified reason to become one, because his dad was Roger, and he didn't want to live under his dad's shadow. He wanted to make his own name for himself as a pirate, and prove his own worth. Sabo hated his family for what they did, but it didn't really mean that he'll become a pirate as a result of that. He could have resisted in a lot of other ways. If anything, it would have probably made him feel more inclined to become a revolutionary than a pirate, since the revolutionary army is more directly confronting nobles and stuff. That's not really a pirate thing, so it might be possible that instead of striving to be a pirate when he grows up, Sabo could have been trying to become recruited into the revolutionary army. Overall, I don't think all that much would change. I mean, Luffy wouldn't have a reason to show up at Marineford, since he'll have no connections to Ace. So I mean, a major arc would just vanish from the story, but besides that, the story would move relatively the same. It's just that the way it shapes out might be different. So yeah, that is pretty much what I imagine happening if Luffy never met Sabo or Ace. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe for future content. Peace.